beautiful collectors and Transformer fans? It's the one and only Optibotimus coming at you with another video review. And on today's episode, thanks to the absolutely incredible support of my Optibotimus Plus channel members, specifically Stacy, Jordan, and Adam, we're going to be taking a look at the new Transformers Kingdom leader class, Rodimus Prime, the chosen one himself. For the package, absolutely gorgeous. Really large box here with that really cool image of Rodimus in his robot and vehicle mode, and much like all the other ones, it does carry over to the side. You can see that he's kind of making his way through lava and fire and all that stuff. Really very dramatic. Of course, you got the Transformers text, the Generation logo, all that fun stuff. Side here has the Transformers Kingdom image with Unicron, Galvatron, the Golden Disc, all of that. Really very nice artwork. When you come around to the back of the package, you can see that he transforms in 34 steps. Then you got images of him in his robot, vehicle mode, all of his accessories, and this is something that I don't know if I really noticed all that well, but it seems as if you can have him as Hot Rod's vehicle and Rodimus's vehicle, even though that the Rodimus figure looks more like Rodimus and is scaled a little bit bigger than that Hot Rod. It is kind of cool that we can have that separate car. He really never drove around like that. He always drove around like that, but in a lot of the animations, we did see that kind of separate and that kind of pull away and disappear, kind of like Optimus's trailer would disappear. So that's kind of cool that you can have that little bit. But for the packaging on this guy, that is about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the new Commander class, Rodimus Prime, opened up out of his packaging and obviously in his vehicle mode. And before we get into it, I do want to apologize. I know at the beginning portion of the video, I did refer to this guy as the leader class, and that is definitely not the case. I'm human and sometimes I make mistakes. But here he is, and honestly, I'm really very impressed. There was a lot of kind of back and forth when this figure was first revealed as being a part of that Commander class, because the previous ones that we got was Skyfire and Skylynx. And those are really big figures. In the case of Skylynx, actually kind of two figures that combine. And a lot of people were like, how does this fit in that scale class? Well, a lot of it has to do with this guy right there. For the accessories, he comes with a lot of ones that we saw before. You get a whole bunch of these blast effects that you can connect all of these, make a giant blast sort of thing. They're all done in this really nice translucent blue plastic. You got that, and then you got some extra little ones, so you can have one giant blast coming out. You can have several small ones. I mean, mix and match, do whatever you want with it, but we have gotten several of those before. You also do get the Matrix of Leadership. It's in his chest right now, and you do get that little blue effect that we got, I think it was with Rodimus, that when you attach it to it, you can have it like illuminate of sorts. So again, that's a nice little piece. And then you do get these smoke effects. Again, we got smoke effects with Hot Rod. These ones are done in a black plastic, and they can attach in two different places, obviously in the vehicle here, but then also here, you just plug that in on the side, and you can have black smoke coming out there. You can also attach it to the one on the other side as well. But this is really a very, very large space Winnebago. And I think, like I said, a lot of people were really on the fence about this, but in general, I think that this turned out really good. For some comparisons, first I want to say, now obviously, like I said, Commander class, but here's the leader class Optimus Prime, and you absolutely can see just how more massive this is than that. So again, I mean, granted, this was a Voyager figure really for the most part, and then adding that put it to that kind of leader class price point. This guy is basically also a Voyager figure, but with this, it's far more involved than that. So it makes sense that it would be in that higher price point Commander class. So I'm going to set this off to the side. We're going to bring all this stuff in here in a little bit, but here's the trailer. So getting Optimus here out of the way, and then coming to take a look at this, you can separate this guy. So you're just going to pull this out just like that. We're going to set him off to the side. We'll take a look at him in a bit. But again, I want to do a comparison to the trailer because again, there is a huge difference. I want to make sure that I get all of that. I mean, you can totally see the width, the height, the depth of it all absolutely amazing. And really all you did with this, you could open this. Now, of course, roller didn't initially come with it, so all you had was this. You could do what you want with that. This thing is really quite impressive. You can come around here. First of all, you have this little section here in the bottom where you can store weapons. That entire piece slides out. This guy has got a lot of weapon storage. I don't know really why you need that much, but you do. I never knew it, but you got some weapon storage right up here. You come around here to the back section. This whole section here will open. Let's get that going. Lift that up. You got real metal pistons there, which is nice. You can open this. And, of course, you're now having like a ramp where you can put a vehicle in there. Then you can open this. And you have all this stuff on the inside right here. Now, you can also take this. And let me see. You can put this back. You can take that. And this whole section. God, how does this go down? I don't really remember exactly how that slid down. Maybe something like that. Oh yeah, okay. So it's going to be like that, where you can have that connect to stuff like that there. But then you have this piece right here. Oh, that whole section does also lift up. So you got that. You got this giant cannon thing here, which you can lift up. You can hinge this. Again, you got tremendous detail on here, which really shows off all that real cool detail. And you can plug this on there, and now he's got a full-on weapon platform. I mean, a huge difference. Let's get this out of the way. I mean, this thing is massive, but I mean, when you look at that, there's just a huge difference between the two. Now, granted, he doesn't make up the figure, and I feel like I want to pop that down there. There. Oh, there we go. I'm going to go like that. No, I don't know how that particularly goes. I don't know. I don't like how that sticks up. You do have like a little ramp thing right here, so I don't know. I do kind of wish that was a little bit more flat, but I mean, honestly, there's a huge size difference between these two. So again, makes total sense that it's going to be at that higher price point. And then again, you got this giant cannon thing right here that very nicely homages that weapon platform that he had in the original vintage toy. So I'm on board with this. I really, really am. I think that this turned out great. And of course, like I said, you got all these different port things here, so you can store all this stuff. One thing that I will say is that when you do close this, bring that down, this whole thing here seems to close a little bit better when you don't have that giant cannon piece in there. So let me get that up there. No, that. So that, it seems to lock in a little bit better and kind of close this up a little smoother than when you have the cannon thing here. So we're going to collapse that, fold that down, or maybe like fold that up. Yeah, let's fold that up like that. You got the little post thing here in the bottom. Then you're going to take that, lock that in. This has a little notch right here that this little bar section kind of fits into. Just kind of squeeze that as far down as you can. And then for some reason, it just seems to kind of push things out. I don't know what I'm doing, but you can kind of see that it pushes it. It didn't really do that with the weapon thing out. I mean, I had it in there before, but you'd have to finagle it. So, I mean, you can kind of get it closed off like that, but there's his Winnebago. For the vehicle, though, it does a really nice job of looking like both kind of Rodimus and Hot Rod. Bringing in Hot Rod, you can see, again, size is a big difference here. Obviously, this is a deluxe size figure. This does get a lot larger, but you can see that there are a lot of similarities. And occasionally, when he would transform, we would see this whole sort of scenario where he'd be driving, that would go away, and then he would instantly transform. For the most part, this is what you saw during the time. It does have a lot more detail that you can see, a lot more panel lines throughout the entire thing, especially here in the spoiler section, which will be his little wing thing here in the back. I mean, a lot of extra detail really put throughout the entire thing. He still kind of has his feet just hanging out here, but that goes all the way in the back, so you're not really going to notice that too much. But obviously also a taller car, I should say. Like I said, very impressive overall. It just fits so much better, obviously, with the Winnebago. No, I mean, you can... That just look... Well, actually, that doesn't look terrible. I mean, it definitely doesn't fit, but I wonder if he can... He might be able to even fit in his own thing. Let's try this. Let's get this guy out of here. Lift this up. Bring this down. Can you drive up there? Oh, my goodness. Oh, well, the little spoiler thing does kind of get in the way, but hey, you can do something like that. So, I mean, like I said, I'm really happy with it. I really think that the overall presentation of the entire release is really well done, and I just don't know why I can't see, but like that locks it in there pretty decently. But really sharp looking. You can see a darker color throughout it, which is accurate. He does still have the nice silver on the sides. Doesn't have the little exposed engine, which again, accurate looking. He didn't have that as Rodimus. So overall, I mean, like really very happy with the way that this guy turned out. Now for his transformation, it is sufficiently complicated, I would say, but not too terribly difficult to do. First, we'll come around here to the side. You got these little bits right here. Just get your fingernail in there if you can. Pull that out. Rotate that around. Just kind of push that along the side there. Do that on this side as well. Pull this little piece out. Stick that there. Then I like taking this entire section here, lifting this, just kind of separating the little tabs and everything, getting that out of the way. And then come around here to the bottom, and you're going to want to pull these arms out. Separate that like so. Pull this out, separate that out just like that. You can take these little pieces here, you can rotate those around, and those tuck very nicely. Just kind of keep this right here, but let's get that all the way down. There we go. Spin it around to this side. You're going to then separate this, bring this a whole chest piece down. You're going to rotate the head like that. This is all just going to kind of hinge right there for right now. Just kind of get that out of the way. Let's see. Get that arm down and then hinge this section down. Bring these arms all the way up. Now you have to make sure, let's get these, well, let's do these legs first. Split those legs just like that. And then this section here kind of pull away and then pull that out. Then you can extend these legs all the way down. So again, on this side, pull this piece out, then hinge all that down. Now come back around here. You want to keep this section lowered. You can kind of see where there's going to be a sort of gap here. You want to be able to spin this and get that all the way up like that. Keep that straight and then rotate this piece around. But you do have to make sure that everything stays flat so you can rotate it. Then when you do that, then you can rotate the entire torso bit. So first you want to rotate that and then the torso, because if you do it in the other way around, there's not enough clearance there. Come back down here to the legs. These sections here, the entire bit is actually going to collapse down, and then you have a double hinge here, kind of bring that out like so, and then this goes around. Now, this part I'm not a huge fan of. Get that up out of the way. Kind of stay up there. You kind of have to pull this away to get that tire to tuck right there. I don't like pulling things to get it to work. Fold out the foot and then bring this all the way around. Again, bringing it back on that double hinge, and it sits right there. So again, on this side, you got this piece. Just rotate that around. Get that out of the way for right now. Bring the double hinge back. Collapse the tire down as far as it'll go. You can bring it back. I just wish it would slide easily. As it is, you kind of have to, like I said, pull and tuck. And then you're going to have the tire section actually come through there. So that's why you kind of have to pull that away so that it clears that extra bit. Then bring this around. Again, fold the double hinge around and then wrap that around. Now on this side, this one, it does a pretty good job locking into place. This one tends to not stay there. Oh, well, didn't I get it? Oh, well, all right. Never mind. Fold the foot down. Straighten all this just like so. Now with these, you're going to want to hinge these. This is kind of a pain in the butt. You want to hinge this all the way down, and you have all these different locking bits here. So first you have to keep it like that, then push that all the way in. Make sure you push solidly. You'll hear a click, and it'll lock that into place. Then you have a little slot section here that's going to tab into that gap that's on that gray section. So again, let's bring this all the way down. Hinge that all the way down, give that a little push. You hear that pop. Bring that chest piece down just to get things out of the way, and then bring this up. And this part does get a little bit tricky here. You want to bend here at that hinge. Did I pop all that out? Yeah, I think I popped that out. Yeah, so keep that in there. Then bend at that other hinge, accordion up, so that you bring those two sections together and squeeze that in just like so. So you got some accordion there. That does get a little bit tricky to do, but and tends to pop that out. So just get that collapsed in. Come on. Do I get it? No, I feel like that's not all the way. Yeah, see, that's the. I'm not a big fan of that section here. And then it tends to pop it out. So just kind of hold that there and give that a push. There we go. Kind of bring that down just like so. This section here, you're going to actually bring these forward a little bit. And then this, again, this is a little bit tricky. So you got to bring this in. Get that kind of out of the way. And where's this lock in? It comes down here, and we'll give that bring that in, and then give that a good solid push, kind of locking it there. Did I dislodge that? Yes, I did. So bring that up. Pop that right back in there. That should lock that pretty solidly there. You can bring the little chest bit out. And then this section here, you got a little tab and a hole that you bring in. Give that a push. That should slide in. Lock that into place. Just kind of fiddle with the head. Since I've already rotated it to get out of the way, you then bring this up and lock it right there. So just kind of move that around till you see that section, which is easier said than done. All right, there we go. Yeah, just kind of frictions in there. Put that there. And then come around here to the hands. Take the arms, extend that right there. Take the tire section. Actually, this is really cool. The tire splits and shifts up. So you had it like that. It rotates nice and freely. Split the tire and then slide that up, and that will lock in, effectively making the tire kind of sink in further, which is really very cool. Take this piece. You're going to rotate that down, rotate that around, and then spin this piece around, rotate that entire assembly back and around, and then you tuck this here. That'll tab into place there, and that wraps around the back of his arm just like so. So bring that down here, kind of straighten out. Fingers, do the same thing on this side. So we're going to extend that. This piece here, just kind of separate the tires. It does get a little bit tricky. Sometimes it does it automatically for you. Kind of like it's doing right now. There we go. Lock that down, and then again, you're going to take this, rotate that down, rotate this around, spin this entire assembly around like that, rotate his little bits, and then tuck up and around. And then a lot of times, a lot of times this part here, I'm not a big fan of how loose this is. I wish that more securely locked into place. Straighten all that. No, that's a spoiler alert. Don't ruin that. But when you're done, there you have Rodimus Prime in his robot mode. And I gotta say, much like the vehicle mode, the robot mode turned out terrific. This guy is absolutely fantastic looking. Now, I did actually completely forget about two additional accessories. One being his large gun. You can actually fold this, and if you wanted to use it like that, you could. I don't know really why you would want to, but you can fold it up. He also does come with this sword, and I have no idea what this is for. It might kind of homage a comic book or something like that, but It's a cool looking sword. It does have a little peg thing here, so you can, again, store this. If I can get it down, which I can't really do very well. There we go. You can peg that into his trailer, so you do have that, or you can have him hold it. So you do get those extra pieces. But yeah, I'm really quite happy with this guy. In my opinion, the best version of Rodimus that we've ever gotten. I no longer have that Power of the Primes one. Well, actually, I thought I had it. Must have put him in storage or something. But without a doubt, though, he is the best version of Rodimus that we got. By taking him and putting him into two separate figures, as opposed to making them have both modes or both versions, I should say, forced into it, they really do liberate a lot with this guy. Now, for the comparison, let's get that out of the way right up front. Getting him there, this is a huge sort of difference to me. Here's Hot Rod. I mean, granted, that's a deluxe size figure, so it makes sense. But like I said, this guy basically gets to Voyager size, which works really good. Bringing in a leader class figure, here's Ultra Magnus, and again, I mean, being these a commander class and a higher price point, some people can complain about it, and I get it. But I think that the scale here works good. Magnus was a really big character, but I think he works better when you compare him to his idol, I guess you could say. Here is the Earthrise Optimus Prime, and you can see that the size here works very, very nicely. Obviously, Hot Rod being a young punk who's, he's kind of like a teenager for the most part. You can see a kind of maturity here, both in terms of the overall look of him, with the design choices, and even the size. Even is going as far as giving him a darker color here on Rodimus, which works perfectly. You got the lighter shins here, you got the darker ones, you got the lighter and darker reddish colors, the lighter and darker orange colors, the more bold lines around the flames and everything. I mean, everything on this just says younger. And then as he gets older, he gets more defined. And you can really see that if I come in and you take a look at the actual head sculpt. I mean, I really like the way that turned out. That is really sharp. You can see the age lines just through there very, very nicely. Everything about the design on this is really very well done. I like the way that you can pull that piece up. I don't like the spoiler and how that constantly bumps and kind of pops off. That is very annoying for me because more than likely it's going to pop off a lot as I'm playing with this guy. He does have kind of big little exhaust pipes here on the arms. If you wanted to, you can still do that thing like with Hot Rod, where you can plug that in to the side if you still wanted to do that. He also does have the matrix of leadership. You just pull this piece down, and it is the same matrix that we got with like Optimus. You can kind of put like that there. You can't really attach it or anything, but hey, you can just set that there, have a thing. I do really like that they incorporated that. That does not ruin the figure at all. A lot of times you put like gimmicks in things and it really does ruin a figure for the most part. Doesn't really do that at all here. I do think he kind of has big hands when you take a look at it. I mean, those are fairly large. That was one thing that I instantly noticed when I got the figure and when I first saw pictures. They seem big. I mean, let's bring it up. I mean, comparing them to Optimus's fists, I mean, there's a definite noticeable difference there. So, I mean, it was just something that caught my eye initially. But real great look. The colors look really good. The detail, you got all the panel lines and things like that. Got that there in the crotch area, the thigh section, even down here in the shins. All of it looks really good. Backpack cleans up nicely. Like I said, I don't like how it is kind of flimsy there, but it still looks really very, very nice. I really do dig this guy. Articulation-wise, the head is on a bit of a ball joint, but you do get some kind of restriction there. I mean, you go left and right, and then you can get him looking up and down a little. You got that hinge right there, so you can kind of move that around, but you do have to be careful of the collar pieces because it kind of sits right there. And I did start moving that out. It's annoying. You kind of just push, and it just kind of pops it out. You do have a bit of a butterfly joint, which is nice for that matrix pose and such. So you can do that. You got the hinge. You have a bit of a rotation, obviously. You have a rotation here at the middle point of the elbow. And then you actually got two bends at the elbow, so you can get almost a 90-degree range of motion, which is pretty decent. Again, pop that out. Very frustrating. The wrists here do rotate. They also do hinge in and out, which is nice. The fingers are articulated. Got a couple different joints inside there. You have a waist swivel. You got a forward and back hip. You have an in and out. You got a little skirt piece here that goes out, so you get a full range of motion. The rotation. You have two bends here at the knee, kind of as part of the transformation, but it really helps out with some of those poses that you might want to do. You have ankle tilt. The toes can point. Kind of, they even shift forward and back a little bit. Oh, yeah, totally. So lots of articulation in the guy. I mean, I know that the price initially really troubled people, and they were worried as a commander class figure, is he worth that price point? And honestly, I think that he is. The level of detail, articulation, engineering, and then you throw in that massive trailer, I really do think make this guy absolutely worth that price. Now, for his transformation back, first we're going to come around. I'm just going to pull this apart because it's going to do that anyhow. I'm going to come down here to these arms. We're going to fold this little piece out like that. Fold this around, get that up, and bring that around. Now you kind of want to make sure that the fingers are completely straightened, and then you bring this down and over, and that's going to swivel around right like that. The fingers are going to kind of tuck underneath the little black section right there. Then come around here, rotate that, collapse that in. Come on. There we go. Collapse it in. You can play with the tires if you want, but more than likely they're not going to stay where they're supposed to, but you can slide those out as well. So now let's do that on this side. So we're going to fold the little piece out, bring it up, rotate that all the way around, spin that around, straighten out the finger sections. That's collapsed in there pretty darn good, and the fingers are really tight. So bring that up, rotate that around, bring that around, keep the fingers there, get that down. There we go, just like so. And then collapse the arm down and in, and take the tires, extend that out just like so. And then come around here. We're going to detach the back section here. That tabs in really securely. So whereas this one doesn't tab in very well at all, this one's really tight. Pull that up out. You're going to hinge that down like that. This whole section here, it'll probably collapse anyhow, so just push that down, and then you can pull this piece up and away from the body. Rotate the head around just like so, and then bring that down, bring that down, and pull these arm sections out and extend those up like that. So again, pull that out. You're just decompressing all of that. Extend that all the way up. You have it like this, and then you can rotate this around like so, and then you can rotate him at the waist. That brings everything where you're basically going to need it. These kind of keep off to the side like that. That you can kind of put up like so. Now we're going to come down here to the legs and focus on these. Again, that's going to flop around and get in the way, but you know, it is what it is. Come around here, you can tuck these down, tuck that down. Then again, pull this away, and then you got that double hinge. So fold that completely out, kind of pull on this, and then bring this out. This gets really stuck in there, and like I said, I don't like it. It doesn't feel good to do it. And then take the tire section, pull this up. That part can get tricky as well because there's not a lot of area to grab hold of it. So now let's use his sword. Don't use He-Man's sword, use his sword. So that's really, it really gets down there, and it's kind of hard to grip anything to slide it up. So let's see. Come on. There we go. Yeah, I don't like that really either. So you have that there, and then take this, collapse this in, kind of again pull it away, fold this down, and you have a little tab on the inside of that little piece that you were sliding that locks things in. So just slide that in. Oh, I'm sorry. Before you do that, collapse the leg all the way up. And there we go. And then bring that around, and that will lock into place along the side. Just like that. And then just keep the foot section pushed down. So now let's do that on this side as well. I'm going to pull this piece out. Again, kind of pull here. Just rip this out. Again, I don't like that really at all. Let's collapse this leg down now. Do your best to try and get them collapsed all the way up to where they're going to be fairly flush with one another. Then take this. You're going to try to pull this little tire bit up. That sucks. There we go. Actually, that was a little bit easier than last time. So collapse that all the way in. Let's see here. Make sure you got that all the way down like that. Get that tire in there. And then bring this around, and that will lock into place. Keep the feet down like so. And then you can connect these two halves like that. This part here, you're going to rotate. That's going to come down, but we'll worry about that later, as that's a little bit easier to do when everything else is kind of lined up. Bring these down. Bring these down. Take this section here, kind of push that up through there, and then take these little bits. These come off a lot. I really don't know why, but just clip that right back. Please, why are you not going in there? You're gonna really aggravate me, aren't you, little guy? There we go. Get that there, and then pull this one up very carefully. Hey, careful. There we go. Pull that up like that. This section is going to sit here. Make sure you, again, you collapse that down and bring this little window section right there, which is going to kind of line up where it needs to go. So there we go. Perfectly like that. And this, completely straighten these arms, that folded down. Bring that up. Bring that all the way up. Make sure that that's completely compressed in. This section here is going to go kind of like this. And then from this point, keep that up there. You just kind of line everything up here along the side. There is a tab on the underside here that locks in with this forearm. It's a little bit tricky to see it because it's on the underside. So just, there you go. Feel around until you feel that piece slot in to where it needs to go. There you go. You're going to keep this up. Don't want that to go all the way down just yet. There we go. And then line these up like that. Is that right? That looks, just kind of checking it out here from the underside to make sure that that is compressed perfectly. Keep these tires out there. Keep that there. Kind of squish that down. Bring this up. That's going to kind of tab right there. And this is where you can then bring this piece up. It's on a double accordion, so fold that down, and then you can line the pieces up along the side to get it to line in perfectly. Then take this. Rotate that back and around, lock that in there, rotate this back around, lock that in there. There we have, I guess, the main car of them done. And then to complete the look, obviously, we're going to bring in his trailer. You can see that the underside here, you have this little button. It's spring-loaded, and when you push it in, it's going to lock into this little rectangular section. So you just kind of slide that in and give it a good push, locking it in just like so. And when you're done, there you have Rodimus Prime back in this really cool looking vehicle mode. Now, as I said several times in this video, I personally was concerned about the price, but I was still a little bit more fair-minded, I think. I knew that the trailer was going to have to be really large, and I knew that the Rodimus figure would also have to be larger. I mean, we already got that hot rod, and we know that Rodimus is bigger than that. So while that hot rod was a deluxe, I kind of figured they were going to make him pretty much a Voyager. But it was that price point that people were on the fence about. And for me personally, I am perfectly okay with the price on this. Yes, with Skyfire and Skylynx, we got really large figures, but for the most part, they were pretty simplistic with the engineering. This guy, though, at least has a little bit more complex of a transformation. It's obviously not on the level of a masterpiece, but in my opinion, this is better than the masterpiece Rodimus we got. I mean, hell, a lot of Transformer figures that are made nowadays are better than that masterpiece Rodimus. But just in my honest opinion, even though that this is that Commander class price point, I feel it's absolutely worth it. The size of everything, the amount of detail that's sculpted into the figure, the engineering, all of it just adds up to a terrific figure that absolutely nails the look in terms of both vehicle and robot mode. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Once again, I have to send an absolute massive thank you to all of my Optibotimus Plus channel members. Specifically, as I said before, Stacy, Jordan, and of course, Adam, who through with their support as well as the other members, continue to help making reviews like this and many others possible. And if you'd like information on how you can help support my channel by becoming a channel member, where you can get exclusive channel chat and comment emojis, loyalty badges, early access to video reviews, exclusive member live streams, Zoom calls, the occasional giveaways, as well as access to the Optibotimus Plus only Discord, then please consider becoming a member of Optibotimus Plus. And for that, all you have to do is click on that little join button right down there. And finally, guys, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you all for watching and taking the time to be a kid.